Clearly, I'm not at my desk right now. I'm in the mountains. Since being in quarantine, I know the first thing everybody was thinking. What's gonna happen to late night TV? Now, before we go any further with that topic, I have to say, this video is actually a sequel. One of my favorite YouTubers on the entire platform, Eddy Burback, made a video called Late Night TV Needs to Change. In this video, he talks about several late night hosts, their pros, their cons, and then opens up for discussion at the end about what does the future of late night TV look like. If for whatever reason you haven't seen that video before, I have it linked down in the description below. So go watch that one first because this is the sequel. So it only makes sense. I'll wait. After rewatching Eddy's video and seeing how late night is being handled during the quarantine, I thought to myself, late night's changing more right now in the span of like a month than it has in 70 years. That's pretty crazy. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, how can you make a sequel of somebody else's video? Well, we're about to find out. It's not exactly a direct sequel. It's more like Troll and Troll 2. If you don't know what that means, I don't know what to tell you because I'm not explaining it. With all of that said, this video is heavily based on Eddy's video. Eddy's video is the foundation, and I'm going to build on top of that. I'm also going to be focusing on how late night currently, right now, is changing during the quarantine. And how they're being forced to change because they have to work from home. Hey, Eddy, what's going on, man? Alright, yeah, enough about you. So yeah, I was wondering if I could possibly use your transitions from your late night video. Yeah, I'm making a sequel. I'm making a sequel to your video. Okay, cool. He's okay with it. So, hey Eddy, if you're watching this, please like my video. Sorry for stealing your transitions and stuff. Oh, okay. So stupid, so stupid, so stupid. Wait a second. I can't do a sequel to Eddy Burback's video with this facial hair. To fix it, I'm gonna use a bit of movie magic. This is just who I am now.
I love that story so much, man. That's so good.
I have to say right off the bat that people hate this guy's laugh. For the most part, I understand why. It could be obnoxious and completely ruin conversations or jokes, which is obviously terrible. Some people will even go as far to say it's completely fake, and this just adds fuel to all the hate. Personally, I think it just makes him seem genuine and like he's always trying to have a good time. Nothing highlights these traits better than his at-home content. Most of what he's done so far makes him seem like just a normal dude in quarantine, hanging out with his family and catching up with good friends over video calls.
Come on. You think you even thought twice in your head that I could not do hand farts?
I mean, if the question would have come up, I would have been like, well, of course, Jimmy could probably do hand farts. And now the world knows.
It just so happens that these friends are also celebrities, so maybe not just a normal dude in quarantine. Aside from this, he's also done some really funny bits that work well as their own thing on YouTube.
I don't have another brother. Yes, we do.
Hello, Elston. I'm Montgomery, your long-lost other brother.
It's like a group of friends deciding to get on a video call to do some improv games. Now, so far these have all been pros of Jimmy Fallon's at-home show, but it's time to talk about the biggest con of his show. The monologues. Spoiler alert, this is going to be a negative aspect in all of the shows I talk about who use this dying form of comedy. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of monologues, even while there is an audience. So take away the audience, and they get even worse. In Jimmy Fallon's case, without fail, he sits and reads the jokes off of a sheet of paper.
Renovate notorious homicide homes. But I'm more excited for the spin-off show, Tiny Murder House Flip.
I don't know why he does it this way, but it feels like he doesn't really care to do them at all. I just picture NBC being like, Jimmy, you gotta keep doing the monologues, cause that's how late night works, baby. Yeah, for some reason that's what I picture NBC sounding like. I will say the only redeeming quality his monologues have are when his daughters constantly interrupt him. Their interactions are cute as hell.
What are you doing? I mean, did you serious?
Overall, I believe Jimmy Fallon has done a pretty decent job adapting to having to record his own show at home. I've honestly had a great time watching most of what he's done so far. To me, Seth Meyers is one of the funniest out of the late night hosts I'll be talking about. He has a well-organized show with segments that work great for YouTube on their own, and an awesome team of writers that he is constantly putting in the spotlight and giving credit to. He's like the opposite of when you say a joke too quiet so that one guy says it louder for everyone to hear and gets all the credit. Fuck that guy. Seth Meyers is the one to say, yeah, actually, you know what, Jake said that one, but I said it louder because nobody heard it, and it was so damn funny. Thanks, Seth. An example of what I'm talking about is his segment, One of My Writers Explains a Joke.
Manatee Appreciation Day, oh do go on. And can you just explain that real quick?
Happily. Okay, so you know how you can sort of sarcastically react to something that's kind of not interesting by saying, oh, do go on.
100% I know that.
Okay, great. And so you know how there's another sea cow species very closely related to the manatee called a dugong.
I did not know that.
Okay, well, that explains why I don't get the joke.
He also has segments like Who I Miss.
Who I Miss, in which I will tell you about a crew member who, with each passing day of doing the show remotely, I realize I cannot do without.
As well as The Story We Need Right Now.
But in the midst of all that, a few uplifting stories have emerged, which brings us to a segment we call The Kind of Story We Need Right Now.
It is the various segments like this that make his show easy to divide and put out onto YouTube. Personally, I don't like when comedy gets political, but I will say that his segment A Closer Look is funny, informative, and kills it on YouTube. This segment is definitely his best at-home content and arguably just the best of his show in general. It is certainly perfect for YouTube. Okay, I know I've said a lot of his shit is good for YouTube, but I hope that drives home the point. I think there are a lot of great things to be said about Seth Meyers, but in terms of how well he's adapted to working from home, he hasn't changed much. His content is the same, it just happens to already work well in this kind of format. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. But that's also the reason late night is dying, so maybe that doesn't quite apply here. I don't know, what am I, a scientist?
I will speak to you in plain, simple English.
Stephen Colbert. Even though it's disappointing thinking about The Late Show with Stephen Colbert compared to The Colbert Report, that's not what we are talking about. Even though The Colbert Report was a satirical masterpiece and the only political comedy I've ever thought was well done, I understand you can't play a character like that forever. It's like when Miley Cyrus didn't want to be Hannah Montana anymore. Colbert's show hasn't really changed since being in quarantine. He did some cute shit with his dog.
A woman has trained her golden retriever, Sunny, to deliver groceries to a neighbor with health problems during the quarantine. And when I heard that, I thought, hey, I have a dog that could help. Benny. Come here, Benny. Come on. Okay, I'm an old woman who needs... No. I'm an old woman, and I've written my prescription on a piece of ham. okay? It was out of paper. So, okay, here you go. You ready to take my prescription? Heart medication. I need it. It's very important. Take this to the neighbor who will take it to the pharmacy. Are you ready? There you go. There. He really wants to help people. You want to help some more?
Other than that, though, the show is the same, which is fine. He's just doing his job to have okay interviews and a monologue solely based on making fun of Trump.
Folks, if you watch the show, you know I criticize Donald Trump a lot. But with this coronavirus gripping our nation, it's made me realize that I don't do it enough. And I blame myself.
I did absolutely love his 18-minute bit with Conan, but that's more about how great Conan is, so we'll get to that later.
Oh, thank you so much for helping me get to work today. This traffic has been terrible. I really appreciate it.
To be honest, I don't have too much to say about James Corden. I think he is a solid performer, despite the fact that he was in Cats. He's really, really funny in the bits he does.
You are more like Abu, right? Right? He's like Abu, right? I'm telling you, man. It's like I'm the genie, and you can rock Abu.
I'm not playing a monkey. I'm not playing a monkey. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you say it's me. I'll shut the whole thing down. I'm not, in a million years, playing a monkey.
Aladdin is, in many ways, the story of one monkey's journey.
And I especially think Carpool Karaoke is great. It is a very well-received segment that constantly crushes it on YouTube. I think he puts on a good show, and his quarantine shows have been fine. Lately, they've been posting top 5 videos from past shows, like Carpool Karaoke Top 5s, or Top 5's James Corden Lost It, or whatever, and I think that's pretty awesome. So keep having people do that while we're in quarantine. Sorry for the lukewarm take on James Corden. That's really all I have to say about him. No, actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. He was in Cats.
Last night, while you were sleeping, Mommy and I ate all your Halloween candy.
I generally enjoy Jimmy Kimmel's sense of humor, from the comedic bits on his show to his great interviewing. I don't like monologues very much, as you know, but I think Kimmel does a great job with them. Right now in particular, I think his have been the best of the hosts still doing them. He has changed the timing of his jokes to fit the fact that he has no audience. This means he doesn't need to pause for laughter.
But today marks 1 full month since kids have been home from school here in LA. I think more than anything, when I think about what I miss that rush of endorphins you feel when the car door slams shut and you peel out of the preschool parking lot like a Duke of Hazzard or something. My cousin Sal and his wife have a great idea. They've decided they're sending their kids back to school on May 1st no matter what, even if it's closed. It's closed, they can hang out by the hopscotch until 3 o'clock.
Also, a great thing I love about Kimmel's monologues is the late night hosts who do monologues about political subjects tend to have a clear agenda. They make fun of one side, and it's obvious how biased they are. If you're going to talk about political things and make fun of them, I think it's best to just make fun of both sides, and that's exactly what Kimmel does.
You say, sir, what metrics you will use to make that decision?
The metrics right here. That's my metrics.
His tanning bronzer is his metrics? If my face is orange, the country will stay closed. But if we see it shift to tangerine, game on. He will do everything he can to help Joe win the election.
I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy. I endorse.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much.
Chuck! Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, now all the Democrats have to do between now and November is keep Joe Biden in a Mylar bag like they do with vintage comic books.
To me, comedy with an agenda, a political agenda, just doesn't sit well. While his show has stayed consistent with what people are used to, he has also started to add some home spice, a bit of flavor to his typical network show. My favorite example of this so far came from this conversation he had with Ellen DeGeneres.
What is your go-to, is there a regular meal that you've been cooking, or have you kind of veered off and tried new things?
I've tried a couple of new things, but the thing I cook more than anything is something we call pastatina. That's what it's called at the house. And basically it is cannellini beans, garlic, olive oil, and a little bit of garlic, a little bit of flavoring. And I make a pasta for the kids.
Would you do me a favor and send that recipe to me so I can have Portia try that, and then we'll post that and see how she does?
Absolutely. I'll make her a little video showing her how I do it, and then she can see my strategies, my technique.
The fact that he followed through with that small comment is so awesome to me.
All right, so by request, this is my recipe for pastatina. It's one of the few things my kids eat, and it's a name that they made up. It's something called pastina. This is something that Italian families will serve their babies. It's like kind of a starter pasta, and this is what it started with. My daughter Jane called it pastatina, which was cute, and it has evolved. So now that I've blended these, the children won't know they're eating beans, which is good. Okay? Now, garlic. There are no good recipes that do not contain garlic. I'm being heckled by the peanut gallery
She just said she knows there's beans in the pasta.
You know there's beans in the pasta now? Well, guess what? You love them. So now do you think you like beans?
Great. Oh, way to go.
Could be a disaster. All right. All right. This is it. Pastatina, what do you guys think? Do you think other kids will like it? Huh? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. They said yeah. That's it. Pastatina. Make it at home.
This would have never been a segment on his show if he wasn't pushed into making all this at-home content. So, thank you, quarantine, I guess? Conan O'Brien is my favorite late night host by a mile. He's easily the funniest and is always ahead of the game in terms of keeping with the times and creating new media style content. He has his Conan remotes, and he is the first late night host, to my knowledge, to have a podcast. Conan's show has gone through changes in the last year, which proves he is clearly willing to shake things up. This mentality is what has caused his at-home shows to be the best in the industry. Instead of keeping things the same, monologue, then celebrity interviews, he's completely taken the monologue out and now has real conversations with people on his show. And by real, I just did air quotes around real. You can't even see me right now. By real, I mean they aren't planned out like a typical late night show would be. He's still constantly joking around and doing long committed bits with his guests, which is what you come to expect with Conan, and it's one of the reasons he's my favorite. In place of the typical monologue, he simply has hilarious short videos to open his show. The first video in quarantine he made was a tutorial on how to sanitize your puzzle.
Guess what's very popular at the moment? That's right. I think some of you just said it. Jigsaw puzzles. I prefer the old 1,000-piece puzzle myself, but I want to be careful. There's 1,000 pieces in here. Each one could possibly be infected. That's why I'm going to take this very simple precaution, and I suggest you do as well. I'm going to take all the puzzle pieces, and I'm going to boil them. Boil each piece. And what you want to do is really stir it around. I suggest you sing the happy birthday song for every puzzle piece. That's the happy birthday song 1,000 times.
When he's not giving some sort of essential quarantine tutorial, he might just read a bedtime story for the kids.
So, tonight I am going to read your little boy or little girl to sleep. You're going to love this, kids. It's a 4-volume set, and of course, Robert Caro's masterpiece, The Years of Lyndon Johnson. So Mom, Dad, go take a break. Here we go. Introduction, Volume 1.
On top of this, his bits with Andy are better than ever. Just a couple of friends brilliantly playing off of each other's humor.
A lot of people out there are missing human contact. Andy and I, every day, used to hug each other. It's something we've been doing for 26 years. I'd love to have one of those hugs right now. Wouldn't you, Andy?
Let's do it. What do you say?
Let's do it. Watch this.
All right.
It's easy.
Oh, Conan.
Andy, yeah. Oh, good to see you, buddy.
To me, it seems like Conan has the most freedom in his show compared to the other hosts I talked about. Conan's content right now proves to me that if all of late night died tomorrow, he would continue to thrive doing similar at-home shenanigans or simply by continuing the podcast. Of all the late night hosts, Conan is definitely the best comedian, and that is why he does not need the late night machine to survive in entertainment.
Now you guys are gonna add music to that, right? Because otherwise I just look like an ass.
Now I know Eddie talked about at least one more late night host. I can't really think of who it was. They're probably not important for this video. In terms of the future for late night, who knows what'll happen. I looked at a small portion of late night history, but what the quarantine does tell us about late night is that they're willing and able to change. And that's a pretty powerful thing moving forward. On one hand, late night just stays the same, eventually dies out, or they make changes like they did in the past month and continue to thrive. I'm definitely just excited to see what happens and see where late night TV can go. What happens after the quarantine's over? Will late night TV just go back to normal, or will they be permanent changes implemented into the typical late night TV? What even is normal? I don't remember. Also excited for maybe a third episode to round out the trilogy. What do you say, Eddie? Huh? Before I end the video, I just want to give a big thanks to my boy Eddy Burback for giving me the inspiration to even create this video in the first place. Everyone say thank you, Eddie. Now, a word from our sponsor. What? There's no sponsor. How am I supposed to make money doing this? You're my manager. You're supposed to be getting me sponsorship deals. Oh my God. Mom,